Hey everybody, this is Robert with RC Archery, and I'm about to show you 6 common form problems that I see with all the archers that I work with so that you can up your game and have some better groups. Alright, so the number one common form problem that I see out of all the archers that I work with just about is that their draw length is too short. It used to be an epidemic on draw length being too long, and I think everybody's gone the complete opposite direction now. I see everybody with the draw length too short, with their front shoulders being really scrunched up, lifted up, and pushed back into their neck. Now, a lot of people see this, they see the string coming way far back on someone's face, and they think their draw length is too long, and they keep trying to shrink it and shrink it and shrink it, and it's a complete opposite problem. Most people don't understand the biomechanics that come into your body and into the form. Your front shoulder is huge, and it's probably the single biggest aspect of having the best float on target that you can have. If your front shoulder is correct, your float's going to be still. If it's not, it's going to be everywhere. Up, down, left, right, depending on what you do with it. A lot of bad up and down movements that you see. So, common form problem number one, low front shoulder and out. You don't want it overextended. You notice if I overextend it right here, there's a gap right in this area. It's because the shoulder, the joint itself is separating, it's extending. So you want just a natural movement, just like if you were to raise your arm up right here. You can see everything is flat right in this area. Another thing you see is that my elbow is not way down and my shoulder way up. That's a huge sign that that shoulder is too far back, and people saw that string too far back on their face and they keep shortening it, and then they got to put a bend in their elbow. It's not going to work. You may feel like you can hold that bow up by using your bicep to make it steadier. All you're doing is inventing a problem. You're putting too much muscle in there and not relying on your bone structure, your body. So that's going to be our form problem number one. Common form problem number two is the bow shoulder being raised up. And again, that was in the first one, but it's the reason why. A lot of people, they have their elbow in a very vertical manner where the elbow is almost facing completely down, and they're doing that because they're trying to hold the bow up, and they're also doing that because they haven't been taught the correct grip, and we're going to go over that later. But the way you want to do this is create your skeletal alignment to be able to work for you rather against you. If you have your elbow down, it's rotating the bones that are in your forearm, and all that does is raise your shoulder up. So you see, if I hold this here with my elbow down like that, my shoulder is a little bit raised here. As soon as I turn my elbow, you can see it drop. You can see it drop straight down. So the way that I describe this is, you want this arm, you want the elbow to be at like a 11 o'clock and a 5 o'clock position on a clock. So if the hour hand was on 5, the minute hand was on 11, and that's a very good outline for the way that your arm needs to sit like this. You don't want it completely vertical, you don't want it completely horizontal, but you want it more on the vertical side. And what that's going to do is lead me on to our common problem number three. So the number three most errant problem that I see among form and among my students that I work with is your bow hand. So many people are taught when they first start archery to squeeze the bow. They keep their hand very vertical and they squeeze onto it. And that does what we were talking about before. It gives you a problem with your arm. Another thing it does is, you'll notice that when I open my hand up like this, it brings your forearm into the path of the string, and that's going to be a big problem too. You see a lot of people string slap on their arm only because of their hand problem. A lot of people say it's draw length and some other problems too, but the majority of it is their hand. So what we want to do is create a plus or minus 45-degree angle with your bow hand, and that's along these outside knuckles on the base knuckles there. And what that's going to do, one, is it's going to help you get the right angle on your arm that we talked about before, where your arm's not here and it's twisted so that it's in the correct manner. But the other thing that it's going to do is it's going to take this arm out of the path of the string because of the way it's going to align you naturally. So the second part of that is how you set the grip in the bow and the way that you use it. Now, I recommend the same grip for all the students that I work with, and I do it for two reasons. One, it naturally promotes the pocket in your hand for that riser and grip to be able to place onto your hand, and that's a big part of it. The number 2 reason, I find a lot of people need something to do with their fingers. They squeeze them, they open them, they do something with them, and what that's doing is it's changing the tension in your hand, and it's causing you to have problems. Tuck the ring and your pinky finger into your palm and leave them right here. Once you get to full draw, relax them and they'll just hang there. If you have to have something to do with them and you notice that you're moving left to right, or if you're torquing the bow, just keep them tucked into your hand and keep some tension on them. It's going to keep the tension off the grip, but it's going to keep you from having any movement in your hand until you can mentally learn to just not do anything with your fingers anymore. Now, I've got some more information on my instructional video on how to set up your grip and what it needs to look like, so I'll leave that for that because it goes into a deep explanation of it, but that's the basics behind what you need to do with your grip. So the next most common problem that I see is your stance. A lot of archers do one of two things. They either have a really wide open stance, and a lot of times that's because your draw length is already too short. As you open that stance, it changes the direction of your shoulder laterally, and that changes your body's effective draw length. So what they're doing by opening that stance up, they're bringing their arm over laterally, and it's shortening their body's effective draw length. So that's a big one that I see. A lot of times they're also maybe doing that to try to keep from hitting their arm or doing something with a string slap. Second one that I see is your stance being too closed. Now that's a big one too, because that actually induces string slap, because what it will do is cause your body to line up in the path of the string no matter what you do with your bow hand. So I'm going to stand like this normally. This is a very normal stance, what I would have here, and if I hold my arm out here, you notice that my face is right here, and that's out of the path of the string. If I close my stance, my hand is still here, it's on the camera, but my face is right here, and you notice it's right in line with my elbow. So it's going to hit my forearm, so that's a huge one. You don't want to do that at all. Now again, on my form video and then also on my last video when I go over shot sequence, I give an up close view of your feet. The biggest thing on that is the second thing that I talk about in my instructional video on form, and that regards finding your natural point of aim. Using your feet, that's how you find it. And that's what I go over in my coaching methods with my students as well. Alright guys, so common form problem number 5, the way you anchor. I see a lot of people anchoring too far back on their face, and a lot of that is derived from your draw length being too long and today's shorter axle-to-axle bows. When you have those shorter axle-to-axle bows, the string angle is a lot sharper, and that string comes back on their face a long way when they're trying to get their nose on the string. I want to talk about that for a second and kind of go over why that's a bad thing. Where you set your hand on your face and where you anchor is your leverage point on your shot. And when it gets too far back, you lose all the leverage. And what you'll start doing is you have to hold with your hand and you have to hold with your arm and your bicep. And what that does is leave you from being able to use the biggest muscles in your body, which is your back muscles. When you can use a bigger muscle group, it doesn't tire as quickly and it's going to hold you steadier, especially your back. Anything you use in your core, back, sides, stomach, chest, is going to hold your entire body steadier, because your core is your basis for all your steadiness and all your form and repetition. So what that looks like, whenever you have a proper anchor, your anchor is here. And you'll notice right now that my forearm and my wrist is very straight. But if I bring this anchor back, then I've got to start putting a bend here in my wrist in order to take up the extra space that I'm missing here, because your arm can only go so far back. So when you get too far, you start bending at that wrist, and that's what's allowing you to create that distance. Now this does something even worse. When you bend at this wrist, your hand is going to pull upwards in the direction of its movement throughout that bone. So as you pull at this angle here, you notice that there's a straight line in between my hand and my elbow. So when I go to pull through my shot, it's going to go on that straight line, and I'm going to keep a loose wrist. I'm not going to be really tense there, and it's going to allow my hand to go straight back, and that's going to keep me a level shot. I'm not going to be pulling my shots down or pulling them up. It's also going to help you with your left and right some as well. But if I have my elbow down and my wrist up here bent, when I go to release that shot, I'm probably going to be pulling upwards, because that's the direction that my wrist is already going, because I'm trying to grip that release. And what that's going to do is it's going to drop the front of the bow down. So that's going to cause a lot of bobbing problems on the target. And then it also, even if you're not seeing the bobbing problems because you're not a really big puller, if you're pulling upwards as the release fires, the last part that you want to mess with is the back of the arrow, because that's going to have the driving force. You're lifting that arrow up on the back, and that's going to cause some unexpected down hits on target. You're not going to be able to know why. You're going to feel like it was a great shot, but then that's a good thing to look for. So that's problem number 5. Alright guys, so problem number 6 is the Rio Wild lean. And the other one, which I don't know of any professional archers that does this, but is hitching your hip forward. So I'm going to combine both of those into one, let you see what they look like. So a lot of people, when they get to full draw, they're leaning way back, and that messes up your bow shoulder and all that, but that's a whole nother story. But a lot of people are leaning back, so let's look at 2 common reasons why that happened. When you draw your bow back, if you're standing straight up and down and you go to draw, and a lot of people are pulling too much weight, they start to lean back as they draw, and that just begins it. And then as you get to full draw, you want to lean back even further. The correct way to be able to draw a bow is to take your front shoulder that's already level with your feet. Everything is in a line from your feet to your hips down. You want to lean that forward in front of your foot. As you draw that bow back to here, you're going to naturally center yourself back up as you get to full draw. If you're not doing that now, that's the biggest way to help you with that lean. Another thing you can do is take an arrow, stick it in your hip, get the knock of the arrow right under your armpit area. You won't be able to bend that way because that arrow is in your hip, so that'll help you a lot too. Now here's the second one. I don't see this very often, but I do see it. It's your hip. An archer will stick their hip here. Their shoulders are still over their feet, but their hip is not in line with their feet. Their hip is off to the left. So that's a whole different issue. That's putting a lot of weight there on that front foot. That's causing you a lot of problems when you start doing that, because you're getting your body completely out of alignment. You're going to lose a lot of your core strength, a lot of your stability that way, and it's going to be bad on your back. That's a big thing of it too. So if you're having that problem, which like I said is not very common, same thing, put an arrow on your front hip right underneath your armpit and everything in here, and that'll help you to keep from hinging that hip. It'll help you stand more straight up and down. It's helping you off to the bottom of your body that way. But there you have it, guys. 6 tips and 6 common problems that I see in a lot or just about anybody's form that I work with, and that'll be something that you can work on to try to help you get better at your archery game. As always, if you need some help, I do offer the coaching packages. There's 3 packages. One is form, the second one is shot execution on the mental side of it, and the third one is bow tuning. If you have any ideas or any comments that you want to put on there, some questions to run by me, I'm glad to look at you, glad to kind of give some free offer, advice, consultation, anything like that. I don't necessarily want to just be in this for the money, obviously. If it's something quick, I'll help you out with it. If it's something long term or something that you need to work on, I'll give you an idea on what to do. If you need some step-by-step help, I'm here for you. I appreciate you watching today. Keep an eye out. I'm going to keep coming out with these Tuesday tip of the weeks. If you have any ideas, suggestions for some new videos, put them down in the comments below. I'd be glad to help you out. I'll see you soon. Draw length problem, we already worked on your draw length. We don't need to do that one again, huh?